Oh, hey guys, how you doing? It's Don Binkley, Property Providers. I hope everyone's well today. I just wanted to take you guys through some thinking around all things furnished properties. Now, a lot of people will think, oh yeah, it's just like renting another property, it's just got furniture in it. This is definitely not the case. Renting a property that's furnished and fully equipped is probably 3 or 4 times more difficult than an unfurnished property. And this is why a lot of pedestrian franchise type agencies don't want to do it. The legislation doesn't like it because the Land Stock and Agents Act is built for unfurnished property. It's not built for accommodation. So we've been proactive and put together a policy as it relates to gaining a mutual understanding and responsibilities and expectations between the agency, the owner, and the guest or the tenant. And I thought I would just kind of go through that quickly. It seems to me to be that everything's all good when it's starting off, and then when the end of the lease comes, that's where there's some friction. And I think that we just need to all just kind of come up a level and look at it in a more kind of strategic way. So, in this kind of 10-minute presentation, what I want to talk about is fair wear and tear versus damage. Depreciation, and I actually want to introduce more of a new concept in terms of property, which is around duty of care, right? And the responsibility of the owners, the responsibilities of the tenants, and then just kind of close it very quickly. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the importance of starting strong and adopting really a partnership ethos. You know, your tenant is, although they're your customer, they're also a partner, and you want them to have a great experience, living experience in the property, because if they are, they'll probably end up extending, and when you go to put up the rent, they'll probably take the rental increase because they're happy. So, you know, we all want to start off with a position of to try to take a partnership approach. So depreciation, I'm sure that most of our clients are very sophisticated, so they understand depreciation and the natural BMT, which is the depreciating the quantity surveyors say that furniture you can depreciate at 25 to 33% a year. So a lot of people might go, "Why buy a couch?" And there's this perceived value that couch is going to be worth the same amount of money in 10 years as it is now. Well, that's just not the case. And I'm raising this now because if this ever gets into a dispute, the NCAT or whatever the member will absolutely 100% look at depreciation. And as it relates to furniture, they kind of depreciate kind of almost 50% in the first year. So just something to think about. And that was what I was talking about in terms of depreciation rates for furnishings. And you have to look at what is the value of repairing something or replacing it. I can tell you that many times we've invested more money on repair guys to go fix a washing machine 3 times than it would be just to buy a brand new washing machine. So owners need to, I think, understand that depreciation is a cash flow benefit to you guys, and although that you may have curated a property and might have an emotional bond with the furnishings and fittings of a property, the tenant who's staying in the property may not have that same level of that bond. That doesn't mean to say they don't care about it or they're being negligent, but they just may not have the same level of duty of care as you have. So fair wear and tear is what somebody can expect with the natural day-to-day use of an item. Now, normally fair wear and tear, if you're looking at a furnished capacity, it's scratch in a wall or scratches on a floor or whatever. But when you get into furnishings, it becomes a little bit more spiky. And I think that we got to look at something and go, if this chair, for instance, is 15 years old, it is probably used harder than the wall or the doorknob, if that makes sense. So, really when we're looking at kind of making deductions to a bond, we got to go look at what is fair wear and tear and what is damage, and specifically as it relates to furnishings, what is depreciation. Now we do regular ingoing and outgoing inspections, so we will be able to identify that. But to do a full-blown ingoing and outgoing inspection, I've seen condition reports that are 300 pages long. And I think there's an element of being reasonable and attaching what is, looking at what is fair wear and tear, what is depreciation, and what is negligence from a lack of duty of care. Now, I'm a big fan of this right now because people go, well, it's duty of care, and everybody knows what it means from a legal point of view. But in the layman's perspective, the way we as an agency are looking at duty of care or applying duty of care, which is if you're a tenant, are you taking care of the furnishings and fittings as you would if this was a close friend or family member? And these things do happen over time. So people use things at different rates. So the reality is that there is going to be depreciation, there is going to be fair wear and tear, and there is going to be some replacement costs. The responsibility of the owners is to really provide some quality gear in there. When tenants walk into a property, the property's fitted out with IKEA furniture. They tend to give it the same amount of care as what it's worth. So we always recommend putting in it doesn't need to be finale, but it can be, it can be king or freedom's kind of quality, if that makes sense. We want to make sure that people are using the furniture properly, i.e. they're not taking indoor furniture and putting it outside, or they're not moving furniture around. And really, what I wanted to talk about today was kind of navigating this relationship. There's property management, which is like, the day-to-day, receiving rent, getting repairs and maintenance done, dispersing rent, sending out rental increases, etc. The tenancy management it becomes a little bit more important when we're talking about furnished properties, because we're navigating what is the labyrinth of people's egos, right, and people's emotional bond to their furniture that they've curated, as well as with the legislation. There's a bit of an element of reasonableness that we need to apply, and then of course there's account management, which to me account management is not just working on the tenant or the owner. It's actually managing the asset with things like regular maintenance schedules, depreciation schedules, refinancing, etc. Right. So I just want to go through the costs and benefits of a furnished rental for a moment. And that is, I believe when we're looking at it, when a tenant is in a property for a year, the tenant should pretty much expect that there'll be about a week's deduction from their bond for the fair wear and tear and of the furnishings. As such, so should the owner. So let's just say if you had a property that you're renting out for $2,000 a week, I think if the tenant had paid an $8,000 bond, they should expect to get about $6,000 back. And the owner should expect to spend about $2,000, fixing things up, replacing, fixing in between these long-term tenancies. So that's kind of like where my gut feeling is on that. That's looking at it, and it's not fair for owners to say, well, that was brand new. Well, even if it was brand new, the table was brand new or whatever, it's depreciated at 50%. It's decreasing value by 50% as soon as it's left the showroom floor. So there needs to be an understanding that at the end of these, it's all very exciting at the beginning. We're moving. It's people are moving into their new home, all that, and it's all getting set up. But finishing well is just as important as starting well, and that's why I talk about partnership all the way through. And to move into a fully furnished, fully equipped property and not expect any sort of contribution at the end, albeit from the owner and from the tenant, I just think is unreasonable. And from a tenant's perspective, you're getting use of this great furniture, and certainly, if you were to take the value of that furniture and divide it over the course of 52 weeks, it would certainly be worth a lot more than that. And on an owner's perspective, you're saving time picking and shipping your property, as well as costs storing it in a storage facility. So everybody, I think, needs to think about that and go, we're winning at the beginning, and kind of try where possible to check egos at the door. I guess the last thing I wanted to say is that, we're property providers is first in furnished. It is infinitely harder than an unfurnished property, which is one of the reasons why a lot of pedestrian property managers don't get involved. It has appliances, it has batteries for the remote control, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got beds, it's got pillows, so, it is a different job. It requires, I think, probably somewhere between 3 to 5 times the work of an unfurnished property. And that includes the emotional effort that goes into an owner renting it or a tenant renting it. I hope that's provided a little bit more context. Really what I wanted to kind of highlight today was around, duty of care, this element, but also that at the end of a tenancy, owners should expect there to be cost equivalent to about a week, and guests should be, or tenants rather, should be expect to gain deductions to their bond to the equivalent of a week or two. Thanks a lot, and again, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ring me. I'm Don, I'm the principal of Property Providers. Take care, have a great weekend. Bye.